Okay, today we are going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Siege Hound. I got a special request from the comment section to start taking a look at some of the Siege stuff. We're in the middle of Earthrise right now, but yeah, sure, it can be fun to go back and look some of the Siege stuff that I didn't cover when I first got it. So yeah, here we have Hound, and he turns into a pretty nice little Jeep mode. The whole thing with like War for Cybertron Siege, at least, is that they were supposed to be like Cybertronian vehicles, but some of them were like pretty alien, and then others were like mostly Earth-like, but just vague enough that you could say it's Cybertronian, you could say one or the other. So like this is technically supposed to be a Cybertronian vehicle, but like it fits in as just like a nice Earth-based military Jeep. So I like really I think that they took the ones that they weren't planning to make new molds of in Earthrise and made them a little bit closer to Earth vehicles. Like Hound is like that, Sideswipe is definitely like that. It's just like, yeah, they mostly just look like Earth cars. Like I don't think we could really say this is Cybertronian, or if it is, like it's way too coincidentally like similar to an Earth vehicle. Like it has seats in it. So for me, this really definitely feels like just a new updated Earth mode Hound rather than a Cybertronian mode Hound. But you know, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, it's a pretty nice little chunky Jeep mode. Not quite like the his original Jeep mode, but a bit more militaristic and chunky. I mean, not that the original Hound wasn't a military vehicle, but it was definitely a bit more streamlined. This guy's got a lot more weapons on the go. And speaking of which, he's got a few accessories. He's got this piece here, which can attach to the back of his Jeep mode there, or it can attach to the side of his other gun here as kind of like an ammo drum. Then we've got this section here, and then this section here, which is supposed to be like his little shoulder missile launcher. I kind of wish, or like I'm sure there's like some third-party company that has like a piece that you could put in there to have it be more of like his, like pointy triangular hollow projector from the original show, but this is still pretty good. But yeah, so he's got these three pieces here, and he's got, as like was the big gimmick with Siege, he's got weapon ports all over the place. There's one here, here, here. There's the peg for the ammo drum there. He's got one in the top, one here, one here, one here, and I think that's it. But still, definitely a lot of different options for plugging stuff into this guy. So yeah, that's like kind of the whole fun of Siege, is that you can just like plug the weapons in anywhere. A lot of the Siege guys like opt for having the weapon storage of just having the stuff kind of like pegged into the top of the car, and usually that just kind of doesn't work for me. But since this guy is actually a military vehicle, I don't think having the big gun sticking out of the top of the car is that unusual. Like I think it actually looks appropriate, whereas like on Sideswipe, having a gun sticking out the top of a sports car just like doesn't really work for storage. Like that's not any disguising anybody from anything. So yeah, but it does work on Hound. So yeah, this is kind of personally how I choose to have it, with the gun stuck into the side one here and the two guns plugged together. But yeah, to transform this guy, or actually here, wait, I'll show him off with some other vehicles while we're at it. Here we have Siege Sideswipe. You can see they're pretty good together. And then for some Earthrise stuff, here he is with Cliff Jumper and Optimus Prime. And yeah, it's a decent scale, depending on how big and chunky the Jeep is. Like I think that he looks pretty good with Cliff Jumper there. It's just like a big chunky military vehicle. But yeah, to transform him, you can start off by taking off the weapons, and we'll put those off to the side for the time being. And then I unplug this black piece here and just kind of leave it for now. And then the side sections of the front hood sort of wiggle out. And then you kind of lift this section here, actually untie the arms first. You kind of lift this section here up a little bit just so you can kind of unpeg the legs, and then one at a time rotate them around at what is going to be the knee joint. And you can bring it out like that, and then take this little section here and flip it forward, and then take the whole section here, flip it around, peg it into the side of the leg, and then flip this panel down to become the foot. And that's a pretty cool leg transformation. It can be kind of annoying to like get it past parts initially, but then after that, I don't know, I like how it kind of, folds all the way out like that and then kind of crumples together. And then you take the arms here and fold them out to the side. Fold them out a little bit more than, like how they're going to be in robot mode. So you can take the hood chest and fold that down, and then the arms will like sort of pseudo click into it. It's loosened up a little bit since I first got the guy, but it still holds in relatively well. And then you can rotate the arms forward and then take this section on the back here, flip this part of the backpack inside in and of itself, and it tabs in there. It's not like super secure, especially like when you're putting pressure on this piece in the back, but and then fold it on, and it like it kind of like soft tabs in. It doesn't really like like solidly tab in there, but it's got gravity working in its favor anyway. And then finish off by just taking this little section behind the head and just folding it back a little bit. And there you have Hound in his base robot mode. Just adjust the camera here a little bit. And yeah, he's pretty good. Now for the weapons, so like I usually just keep this piece like plugged into the big weapon here, and he can hold it in his hand. Obviously, these still got like all the same ports now with 2 additional ones on his forearm and shoulders, and then he's got these 2 ports on his shoulder, like collarbone area up here, that you can take this one and plug it into to give him that shoulder cannon, and I think that looks pretty good. And then for storage, when you don't want this one out like in his hand, he does have that newly revealed weapon port on his back, but when you plug it in, it like kind of compresses the piece, so you sort of have to like get your finger underneath and plug it in. So it's like a little annoying, but not terrible. But yeah, he's pretty good. Articulation wise, the head is on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of wiggle, but it's mostly just like rotational movement. Since this is pegged in, it can rotate a little bit to the side so that he can like look to the right or without like, looking straight into this cannon, which is kind of nice. The shoulders here are on swivel joints, and then a hinge right here. And then if you unpeg this, it can get a little bit of a range of movement backwards. If you don't mind like exposing the inside of that joint, like that does give him a bit of a backwards butterfly joint. Could be useful. It doesn't look too terrible. Hinge at the elbow, bicep swivel, wrist swivel. And one of the things that's kind of nice about this guy is that like I feel like on a lot of modern toys, they try to hollow out a lot of bits, and the forearms on this guy are something that I would expect to be pretty hollow, and they're actually like pretty chunky. It's like kind of like they definitely have bits carved out of them to save plastic, but it definitely feels like pretty solid, which is nice. It's like kind of a weird small section to talk about, but I don't know. I just feel like it's indicative of the sort of like quality of a lot of these siege figures, where it's like they really are pretty well designed and pretty well managed in terms of like where the plastic goes. And then he's got a swivel at the waist, hip joints. He's got those universal joints at the hip that can go out, and then also swivel. He's got a thigh swivel, and then a tiny bit over 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And then the toes or the feet do have an ankle tilt. It kind of like thoops back into place. So like it's sort of difficult to get like a proper, tilted ankle. And then the other thing is his toe, like you can kind of bring it up like one click in certain poses. It like sort of like goes into the leg there a little bit, but I find that this can be kind of helpful for giving him like a balancing on his toe pose where like his heel is off the ground but he's on his toe. Can work. But yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. And show him off with some of his other wave mates and other generation alikes. Here he's again with side swipe and cliff jumper, and then he won't really fit in the shot here, but here he is with Optimus Prime as well. So yeah, pretty average size deluxe here. Not like tiny like cliff jumper, but not humongous like hoist or ironhide. But yeah, he's pretty good. The other thing to talk about is like, you know, with Siege, the sort of big controversial thing with Siege was all the battle damage, and on this guy, I think it actually works really well because it's very subdued, kind of to the point where it's mostly just like a silver wash on sections, which helps bring out some of the detail, but doesn't make it look like it's like, you know, covered in mud like some of them do. Like you can see it shows up here on the chest a little bit, and it kind of, you know, helps to give that black section a bit more definition, but it's really, you know, ignorable if you're not really into the aesthetic of it. But yeah, and then, you know, the Siege had these little tiny 3 millimeter, I think, ports that you could plug blast effects onto for the weapons, so it kind of makes him look like he's getting shot in the arm or something. So that's pretty cool, and they can also plug into his weapons here to kind of do these cool action shots. And yeah, it's overall, you know, like the Siege stuff just like has a lot of really cool play features, and they're all like, though it is like a lot of gimmicks with the toys, it's things that are just like really generally not obtrusive at all. So we're not, you know, having every character be a combiner or a headmaster. It's just like, oh, every character can plug in weapons to them. And if you don't want to give them weapons, you don't have to give them weapons. But having that sort of versatility in terms of like playing with the figures, I think is what is a really good thing that was added in Siege and Earthrise. So yeah, pretty good. I'm not going to bother transforming them back, but yeah, that's pretty much all we have for Hound here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I'm going to be doing these Siege reviews and other stuff like that on Sundays, and then I do bots on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So yeah, if you have anything else you want me to review, be sure to let me know in the comment section, and I'll let you know if I can do that. But yeah, here we have Transformers Generations, War for Cybertron Siege, Hound.